Hello everyone, welcome to Fablehaven Age of Wonders 4, Dev Diary number 26. The Primal Fury is coming very soon on February 27th, and they have released a brand new Dev Diary alongside their first look dev stream. So this video will be broken up into two parts. The first part will be going over the Dev Diary, which is all about the new Primal culture, and the second part will be about what I noticed during the 2-hour dev stream. Now, if you'd like to see the Dev Diary or the stream for yourself, you can of course find links in the description and the pinned comment. But without further ado, let us get started. Hello everyone, my name is Tom Bird, and I am the lead designer at Triumph Studios. I am not Thomas. Today, Tom is here to talk about the new Primal culture from our upcoming Primal Fury content pack, which is just their way of saying slightly smaller DLC. The Primal culture is a nature-focused, and for people who want a culture that is all about having a connection with the land and the creatures who live there. Primal cultures focus on a deep connection with a spirit animal who they see as their totem, guide, and protector. You can choose which spirit animal your culture communes with, and this has a big impact on how your culture plays. To help explain this, we'll go with the example of the mire crocodile. They do go over all of them a little bit later. But we'll start with the mire crocodile as an example. As you can see, the Primal culture only has one nature, and then which spirit animal you choose will determine what your second affinity is. Note that all cultures can choose to ride crocodiles. I just picked it here because it was appropriate. Yes, there are 2 new baseline mounts, or perhaps more. We'll see. The mire crocodile is aligned with the nature affinity. Yes, so that means that our cultural affinity becomes double nature. And if you had chosen the storm crow, we'd get astral instead, for a dual nature astral culture. And it means that some of our units do blight damage with their attacks. Each spirit animal is associated with a particular type of terrain, and the mire crocodile is associated with swamps. You can also see the nice Primal Fury UI changes here, which you can now select in the menu if you're interested. That's riding a crocodile. This means we start off in swampy terrain and gain the following bonuses. Our units gain swamp walking, so they can move faster through the terrain, which is good because swamp terrain is hefty. Provinces with swamp grant our cities +3 food, and when we summon mire crocodile units, they are more powerful when in swamp provinces. To prevent issues with overlapping bonuses, primal cultures cannot use terrain adaptation form traits. However, we can still terraform the landscape to our chosen terrain if we find a mire crocodile den. This will be the first time that you just cannot choose a form trait. So here is the den. Dens are special locations that are only visible to primal culture players with the correct spirit animal. When annexed, they grant a bonus to city stability, but more importantly, they unlock the animal's temple within the city. If we can build the mire crocodile temple, then the provinces near to our city will slowly start transforming into swamp, boosting our income. It is important, therefore, that we keep our eyes open for these dens, since they're priority locations for us to found new cities. Of course, our mire crocodile will also help us in combat. In the most direct sense, we can directly summon him into combat using a spell. Apparently, these are incredibly powerful and are being nerfed before the release. But these are the little temples. When annexed, they give 15 city stability, which is a lot. A spirit resides here, and you can make the temple for the city that annexes it. When I was watching the stream, I realized this could make Devious Watchers actually good. What's it called? The Society trait that is 1 shadow and gives you an extra scout. Your scouts can see further and whatnot. Because the unique ability of the Primal Scout is that they can see these dens from the Fog of War. Not like across the entire map, but they have a longer sensing range for it. And considering how important these are, that could be quite helpful. Here is the Primal crocodile. Oh dear. Primal animals are all tier 2 mythic units, and they always use their favorite damage type. This example has gained the Frenzy ability since he has been summoned into a swamp province. Yes, tier 2 mythic, meaning he will not gain any enchantments that you have running. But it is a summon, so it's not the big of a deal. The mire crocodile also empowers our cultural units with his boon. This is just a part of your culture, it's not specific to the summon guy. Unit is blessed by the Mire Crocodile. It gains a Rising Fury stack when attacking. At 5 stacks, these turn into stacks of Fury of the Mire Crocodile. This unit's base attacks gain +3 bite damage and inflict disease. Each attack will remove a stack of Fury of the Mire Crocodile. I'll explain what they don't, although maybe they explain it all. Each time a unit with a boon attacks, it gains a stack of Rising Fury. Single attacks, such as from a shock unit, give +2 stacks. Once the unit gets its 5th stack, the Rising Fury is replaced by 5 stacks of Fury of the Mire Crocodile. This powerful buff enhances all of the unit's attacks, granting them extra damage and the ability to inflict disease status effect. Once the unit has attacked 5 times, 1 per stack, the effect expires and the unit needs to start building up Rising Fury once again. Now, they did mention that units that have multiple attacks, like archers or just brawlers, even if they attack multiple times, they will still just expend 1. So this can be quite potent for mid to late game fights when you're doing a lot of attacks or retaliations and you're always furied and strong. And speaking of being furied and strong, some units, such as the support unit, the Animist, can spend their fury in other ways. Animist can summon a Primal Mire Crocodile into combat for us, but this requires having Fury of the Mire Crocodile active, and doing so will immediately use up all stacks the unit has, meaning it needs to start gathering Rising Fury once again. Worth noting, the ruler, does it have to be a champion? I believe the ruler of the civilization can also start with the Primal Staff, which gives them this ability as well. Although I'm not sure if it's bound to the staff. They did that in the stream. Animists also have the Spiritual Healing ability. This heals a unit for 15 HP, but also gain 3 stacks of Rising Fury, letting you quickly gain access to your Fury boost. So if you have a charge unit, you can charge in, smack something, and then Spiritual Healing it, and you will immediately be fully Furied. There are 7 spirit animals to choose from, so you can make your primal culture perfect to your chosen playstyle. And here they go over them. So the Mire Crocodile, the nature affinity, it prefers swamp, it gets food per swamp, it does blight damage, and its boon effect is +3 blight damage and inflict disease. Its special is that culture units have disease immunity. It is worth noting disease has been buffed. It will now stack its damage, much like the changes to poison and bleeding, and fire will now also stack, burning. So all damage over time effects now stack up to 5 times. I believe it is 4 of their respective damage. So that's quite nice. 20 damage a turn would really hurt. The Stormcrow is the astral affinity. Its favorite terrain is grassland. Terrain bonus +2 mana per grassland province. Grassland, I believe, is the most common type, especially if you are on a prairie world. The damage channel is lightning, and its boon effect is +3 lightning damage and additional 4 lightning damage to adjacent enemies. Oh my. Chain lightning bird, huh? Sounds fun. It doesn't have a special. I wonder if that's because it already chain lightnings. The glacial mammoth. Its affinity shadow, favorite terrain snow. Terrain bonus is +3 production per snow province. Its bonus damage channel is frost. Its boon effect is +4 frost damage and a 30% chance to freeze the target. Oh yeah. Its special is that it can build farms in Arctic provinces, much like the snow adaptation. Very good. The Ash Sabertooth. Its affinity is chaos. It prefers the Ashlands. The terrain bonus is +3 gold per Ashland province. Its bonus damage channel is fire, and its boon effect is +3 fire damage and additional 4 fire damage to 1 nearby enemy. And its special is it can build farms in the Ashland provinces. The Dune Serpent is material. It favors sand, good old desert stuff. The terrain bonus is +2 gold per sand province. +2, huh? Slightly 1 less than the Ash Serpent? Ash Sabertooth. Or a typo. You decide. Its bonus damage channel is additional physical damage. Its boon effect +3 physical damage and inflict blind, and its special is that it can build farms in sand provinces. The Tunneling Spider. This is what they played with in the dev stream. Its affinity is nature. Its favorite terrain is mushroom forest, and they begin underground. Its terrain bonus is +3 knowledge per mushroom forest province. Its bonus damage channel is blight, and its boon effect is it deals +3 blight damage and it lifesteals. Now, it is worth noting, there's something missing here. The Tunneling Spider does not give you the ability to build farms underground. I'm not sure if this is intentional, but even in the dev stream, they only have the option to build huts for farms. So that's worth noting. The Sylvan Wolf is the final one. Its affinity is Order. Its favorite terrain is Forest. Its terrain bonus is +3 draft per Forest province. Its damage channel is Spirit. And its boon effect is +3 spirit damage, +2 additional spirit damage per ally adjacent to the target. This is in line with the changes to Pack Hunter, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We have already seen the Animus unit, but what about the others? With the exception of the Protector, the Primal Core units favor maneuverability and taking the fight to the enemy. There is one more thing that's not mentioned here with the Tunneling Spider, and perhaps the others as well. The boon of the Tunneling Spider grants Cave Walk to your cultural units, so you can move very fast underground, and I believe they mentioned that is true for the others as well. So I'm not sure if there's like Sand Walk, but they mentioned for the Grassland, so the Stormcrow, you walk really fast against Grassland, so much so that I believe you can walk faster on Grassland than you can on roads, which they were laughing about. So keep that in mind with these, perhaps not complete. So for the new units, the Primal Darter is their tier 1 archer that has a very interesting mechanic. The Darter is the starting ranged unit. Their blowguns have 1 less range than other ranged units, but ignore the accuracy penalties from cover. They also have Disengaging Shot, which they can use when threatened by an adjacent enemy. This attack lets the Darter damage the enemy and leap back to safety. As with the Animus, the damage type of this attack changes depending on your chosen spiritual animal. So the Primal Darter, even if it is tied up in combat, it can shoot them in melee range and bounce back 3 tiles, which is very convenient. Now, if the target has first strike, they will hit you still with the retaliation, but if they do not, they will not, which allows them to play a bit more aggressively than usual. Of course, if you get charged, that 45 health is going to disappear in a blink of an eye, but still, very cool. The Protector is the other tier 1 unit. It is a shield unit whose special ability, Primal Renewal, allows it to sacrifice its stack of Fury in return for healing itself. I believe it is 5 health per stack of Fury. I believe so. Maybe 10? 10 seems like a lot. Well, I'm going to go with 5. The Primal Charger is a powerful shock unit. Their Cleaving Charge ability allows them to strike up to 3 adjacent targets at once, while still gaining the damage bonuses and interruptions of a standard charge attack. This is a lot like the Warbreed's Cleave that takes 3 AP for them, but it's only a 1 AP charge here. So if you see a nice position, you can charge in there and just cleave your little heart out. Good fun. The Primal Culture's Tier 3 unit is the Ancestral Warden. This powerful polearm forgoes the normal tactic of allowing shock units to charge into them by using Primal Lunge to leap directly into the middle of a group of enemies. The attack does damage to all enemies adjacent to where the Warden lands, and then places the Warden into defensive mode, ready to counter attack. Interesting. Now, they didn't get a chance to show us off in the stream today, or yesterday, but I imagine this is very similar to, well, a lot of the modded items that provide like a leap into combat and deal adjacent damage. And then you go into defense mode. So this is a very aggressive polearm, which is quite unusual. I like it. I respect it. As a final feature, Primal Cultures have a special quest that will always trigger each session. The type of quest and its goals differ between spirit animals, but completing it will grant your ruler the full favor of their totem in the form of a powerful combat boost. Ooh. Shall we read it? Let's read it. You've led your human spirit callers, ardent followers of the mire crocodile, to a new realm, when something catches your eye. Not far from Spirit Spring, a wondrous tree pulsates with invigorating energy. Its strangely familiar energy inspires you, even from afar. A faint bellow on the wind calls you to it. Your eyes fixed on the tree, you discern a faint apparition of immense power. What could it be? Is that the ancestral power of your human spirit callers, the mire crocodile herself? Does the mire crocodile, whom your people intimately call Deepmaw, truly grace this realm? you should visit the Mire Crocodile Den presently. So this quest also appeared in the stream for the Tunnel Spider, and this is supposed to be your hint, hint, nudge, nudge, go find the Primal Den. And it usually spawns pretty close to your capital city, the first one, so this will appear, as I mentioned, every session. They also mentioned that the name, each spirit has their own name, and they thought that it would randomize between a few options. We'll find out ourselves, I'm sure. So in conclusion, Primal is a flexible culture that you can be customized to synergize with almost any affinity or any tome path. Its powerful terraforming lets you take control of the lands, but you need to go and find rare spirit dens if you really want to make use of it. That is it for now. Check back next week where we'll have a dev diary showing off the new tomes. The Primal Fury content pack is due to be released on February the 27th. Excuse me. Now, as they mentioned here, this is all about the Primal culture itself. But of course, in their dev stream, they were playing alongside the Wolf update, which is the free update coming alongside the DLC. So I was watching carefully and taking notes to see what we can see. Because Wolf update is changing a lot of things that I am very interested in, least of which is the Necromancy overhaul. And what an overhaul it is. So for the second part of this video, I have taken notes and screenshots of what I saw was interesting and new. And to start things off, at the very beginning, during realm creation, there is a new realm trait called Violent Seas. Unfortunately, they never hovered over it, so I couldn't tell you what it does. But I'm assuming it has something to do with aggressive minions in the water. They also highlighted the ability to randomize singular realm traits. So if you had a slot and you weren't sure to put in it and you wanted to put something there, you can randomize it instead of just randomizing the whole realm. There are two new form traits, the Lupine and Goatkin. Furries rejoice. For each new form, there is a new form trait to accompany it baseline. Now, of course, you can give this to any form that you are interested in. First up for the Goatkin is Herbivore. Herbivore allows you to consume flora as a skill, which heals you for 20 temporary hit points and provides you with one random positive effect. The devs mentioned that this plays a lot better than it seems. It also would allow you to eat up some of the poisonous mushrooms or misfortune mushrooms, whatever those things were. So that's quite nifty for, moving around the battlefield and ways to restore yourself when perhaps you do not have such ways, i.e. the Dark Culture. The new form trait that is based onto the Lupine is Pack Hunter, which has been reworked. Pack Hunter makes it so that anyone with Pack Hunter deals plus 20% damage per friendly unit adjacent to the target. So if you wanted to use it as an archer, you would need to have melee that are standing next to the target, like around it, and then shoot it and you would deal bonus damage. I think this could be way better. And this, of course, also would affect the wolves, any wolven unit. So I think this will be fun. And I could imagine doing a Lupine playthrough with the Spirit Wolf summon. Good times. And there are new mount traits, as well as new mounts. The Mount Masters, which costs 2 points, gives baseline cavalry choice to Culture's optional cavalry. So if you have some bears and you want to use the bears, then this is a way to get them. Although I'm not sure why you wouldn't just choose dire bears. It is cheaper. It costs 2 instead of 3 points, so maybe that would be why. You could also use this to just have horses, so a real Rohirrim can emerge. There are the Elephant Mounts, which grants plus 15 HP, and a Juggernaut. This is a 3-cost talent point, trait point. Then there are also Mammoth Mounts, which cost 3 as well. They grant plus 10 HP, plus 4 frost resist, and Juggernaut. And of course, Mammoths. The Frostlings are revived from Age of Wonders 3. Now there is the very first 4-cost trait, and that is the Eagle Mounts. The Eagle Mounts, I wrote down no bonus stats, but eagles are eagles, yo. The fastest way to get flying, right out the gate. I could see this being very, very good. There is a new adaptation, the Desolate adaptation, which is just like all the other adaptations, but for desolate terrain. I believe you can make desolate terrain with chaos, right? That could be fun. Now, there is a new society trait, but it's in the Pantheon, so they couldn't show it off. However, a random skeleton they raised did have it. It's called Druidic Terraformers. Unfortunately, they never hovered over it, so I can't tell you what it is, but I imagine it has a bonus or an incentive to do for terraforming. Just something I caught off the corner of my eye. They actually nerfed Fabled Hunters. They gave it a 25% nerf from 100% bonuses to 75% bonuses when destroying Ancient Wonders or Infestations. I thought that was funny. The new base mounts are Sabertooth and Crocodiles, but they mentioned there might be more that just wasn't in the particular build they were using, but we'll see. We'll see. So the last thing in the creation of the character realm is that you can actually name your throne city and write your own biography at the very end of character creation, which I thought was fun. No more zoning into some weird Drakthur and having to name it the Shire. Now, one of the most interesting things, in my humble opinion, from the Wolf of Day is the overhaul to Necromancy. And what they've done to start is they have brought the Tome of the Necromancer down to Tier 1 and moved the Tome of Souls up to Tier 2. And one of the main things for the Tome of Necromancy is that you can, once you have one of its things rolling, you can summon skeletons from racial units that you've killed. And there are 4 skeleton types now: the Skeleton Polearm, the Skeleton Warrior, the Skeleton Archer, and the Skeleton Mage. So early on, you can make use of cheap infantry to throw at people to bonk them, which is what a true Necromancer does, of course. Now, there were a few quality of life things that I noticed throughout the stream. One that they pointed out was that you can see the realm overview in-game now in the menu. So I can double check that we are indeed on brutal difficulty when I'm wondering why the AI are being really chill. And by the way, the Witch Beast's playthrough is indeed on brutal. Double checked it. Additionally, you can now edit members of the Pantheon, which was an answer to a chat question. Good job, chat. And lastly, special province improvements that are affected by adjacent provinces will now have these lines that indicate if the adjacent provinces do their thing. And I am so grateful for that, because I struggle all the time properly placing the special province improvements to the point that I just don't bother. I just don't care. Hopefully now I use them. Now, there is one thing, a negative quality of life, because it wasn't updated, and that is the fact that free cities still do not diggy dig. They still get stuck all by them lonesomes in the underground. One day, they will have freedom. Now, there's another change that they had that I wasn't quite sure what to make of, because they never talked on it. However, I noticed that there is now a hard cap on heroes, and you can increase that cap via Imperium. I also noticed that the hero cap did not increase with city expansion. The developers got a second hero cap on turn 11 and a third hero cap on turn 26. In Age of Wonders 3, you would be offered a hero every 10 turns based on however many heroes you allowed in that game, but that has never been the case so far for Age of Wonders 4, so I'm not sure if they've changed how this works. Of course, hero cap used to grow with the number of cities that you had. Unless that city was over the city cap, then it wouldn't count. But now there is actually a hard hero cap with its own little tracker in the UI. So I'm interested to see if they touch on that or if they talk about the rework for that. Heroes have always been kind of strange because, let's be honest, they're really strong. And it wasn't impossible for people to just have armies of heroes that crumped everything. So we'll see if they touch on this. In the quality of life section, for the last one, they do have a new Siege project menu, which is just bigger. So, nice. Now, they did go over in detail the Tome of Souls, the new now Tier 2, and the Tome of Fey Mist, the new Tier 2 tome. So, I thought I'd talk about each of the things and show off what we have to look forward to as necromancers. Now, there's a new ability called the Bone Horror Reanimation. When killing non-racial Tier 3 to 4 units, gain the option to spend souls to create a Bone Horror after combat. Now, of course, it is an absolute travesty that these have been renamed from Bone Horror, from Bone Golem to Bone Horrors. Rip the Bone Daddy. But they also mention that there is yet another reanimation in the future tomes, so I'm quite curious to see what's above Bone Horror. Maybe they made a proper Bone Golem, or maybe there's something bigger and scarier to reanimate. The Soul Overflow is about the same as it was. It costs 15 souls to cast, and friendly units in a 1 hex radius gain 1 strengthen, gain 20 maximum hit points until the end of battle, and have their negative status effects removed. The third thing there, I believe, is the only thing that's new for this. Being able to remove status effects is beautiful. Soulbinders is even better than it was. It was already pretty good, but they buffed how Soulbound works. So Soulbinder is a 90% chance of inflicting Soulbound on base attacks, increasing the Soul's gain when the target is killed, and you deal plus 20% damage against Soulbound units. This of course only affects battle mages and support, but a Soulbound target, when it dies, it will grant you 2 souls as it always did, but it will also have a 30% chance of respawning as a decayed zombie, which is hilarious, because you can soulbind entire armies later in the game. So flooding the battlefield is truly possible now. Restore Undead Army. I believe this has been brought down from a higher tome. Restores 20 hit points to all undead units in the target friendly army. Is this a world map skill? I think it is. 15 souls. That's pretty good. And of course, the Summon Corrupt Soul has just been transferred from the Tome of Necromancy over to the Tome of Souls. I always enjoy the Corrupt Souls. Good fun. Good fun. And Doom Herald is tier 2 too, so we could combo those if you desired. So now it's time to talk about the new tier 2 tome, the Tome of Fey Mists. This is a 1 nature, 1 astral tome, and it is not the only new tome. There is another new tome that is at tier 4 that they did not show off. But to start things off, we're looking at Lingering Mist. A lot of this tome deals with the new Misty mechanic. Units that are in the province that have Mist here, this will make a target province misty for 3 turns. So units within the province have universal camouflage and -4 vision range, but every turn during combat, various mist clouds appear. And if you end your turn inside of a mist cloud, you gain Clinging Mist, which makes it so that melee, physical ranged, and magical attacks targeting this unit suffer -20% accuracy can stack up to 3 times. That is minus 60% accuracy, which is insane. It is countered by Marked, so the Reaver culture has a little bit something more to do. Now you may say this is just if you end in a mist tile or whatever, but it gets better. Or worse, depending on your perspective. The next research is an enchantment for support units that grants them Fey Blessing. This is a free action heal that heals for 10 hit points from 3 range, but also grants them a stack of Clinging Mist for 2 turns, and that gives them a random positive status effect on a 2-turn cooldown. That's why the Clinging Mist is OP, because you can grant it through various other means, mostly through this Fey Blessing. Now there is a minor racial transformation in the Tome of Fey Mists, and this is when it all starts to come together. This grants your race Fey Guile, which is a new passive that all Fey creatures have. What this does is that if a creature with Fey Guile ends their turn obscured, so, in a bush or a tree or inside the mists, then they will gain 1 positive random status effect. Additionally, they ignore the vision penalties from Misty, so the -4 vision range, they ignore that. They still get universal camouflage. And then, the accuracy penalties from Clinging Mist, the -20% accuracy, that is also completely ignored, because the misty mist clouds in combat, your enemies can stand in them, so they're not just for you. The enemies can benefit depending on how they're placed about. But this completely counters it, so depending on who you're fighting, you might need to pick this up even if you don't want it. Remember the mist clouds I just talked about? Well, you can place them personally using the Fey Embrace combat spell. In a 1 hex radius, you place mist clouds. Friendly units gain 2 random positive status effects. And remember, if you're placing this on top of a Fey or a race that has the Fey touched, they will then gain another random positive status effect if they end their turn within the mists. Also protected from lovely ranged attacks and melee attacks a little bit. And last but not least is the ability to summon a Mistling, a lovely little Fey creature that's totally not going to infuriate you. They did show off the Mistling in the glossary, so I will skip ahead to that after I go over the initial bonuses provided from the tome. Now, of course, we talked about the +1 nature, +1 astral affinity, but this allows you to build the special province improvement Fey Water Pond. provinces in the city's domain become misty. So that's a defensive bonus you get, plus 3 mana per adjacent forester, and it counts as a conduit. I wonder what the visual effect of this is going to be, because I could see it being annoying if it's not transparent enough. And of course you gain the support skill Fey Blessing, which allows your heroes to use the Fey Blessing to heal or grant Clinging Mist. Good fun. So here is the little feller in question. They mentioned that when they were creating the Mistling, they wanted to be the opposite of the Gremlin. And we'll talk about what that means in a little bit. But its first passive, of course it's Slippery and Swift, we know what those are. Trail of Mist at the end of its turn creates a mist cloud on the unit's hex. Now, this is a skirmisher unit, and a pretty darn good one at that, so it probably won't be staying in one place, but if you wanted to, you could. And just spawn clouds. As mentioned, all Fey creatures now have the Fey Guile, so at the end of the turn, if this unit is obscured or in a mist cloud, it gains a random positive status effect, and since it generates its own mist clouds, it's most likely going to be in one. Now, when I mentioned the opposite of a Gremlin, this attack is the reason why. They only have a single action attack that deals physical damage, but when they hit the target enemy, they will then teleport backwards 3 hexes, much like the disengaging shot from the darter. So it is going to be very easy for you to run into the flank, bonk them, and get out. And then, of course, you end your turn, and you create a mist to protect you. Nice. Now, the Fey Trick is the ranged attack that all skirmishers tend to have. You deal damage to a target with a base 90% chance of inflicting a random negative status effect, meaning the Mistlings will synergize quite well with the Chaos Eaters. And this deals 8 physical, 8 blight, and 8 lightning. A Fey Trick, indeed. This would be a way to remain inside mists instead of bouncing all around. Of course, you make your own mist, so do you need to remain in a mist? I don't know. We'll find out. Now, the last thing they just briefly mentioned while they were preparing to end is that Misfortune has been buffed. Again, each stack of Misfortune is a 15% fumble chance. That was the most recent buff. But now, whenever an enemy fumbles because of Misfortune, they take 8 physical damage. Now, that might not seem great, but you combine this with the Tome of Misfortune and just spread Misfortune on everything, and something attacks multiple times. Ooh, that could be a lot of why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? And I look forward to abusing this. Now, the last thing they mentioned before ending the stream was that there will be another dev stream on February 8th, hopefully. Which would, of course, coincide with the next dev diary talking about the new tomes. There probably won't be too much new stuff to talk about from that stream, but I do hope they get to the mid-game, and possibly even the start of the late game, to show off the further changes to Necromancy Overhaul and the brand new Tier 4 tome. But that is it for this first look at the Primal Fury, once again releasing on February 27th. I am very excited to play it. There will be a poll around mid-February to determine the very first playthrough once I come up with some options. I promised some Mammoth. That's all I'm working with so far. So thank you all for watching. I hope that you enjoyed. Thank you to the patrons and the channel members who support the channel. I greatly appreciate you. And if you would like to stay updated, how much you know, feel free to join the Discord in the description down below. And I'll see you next time.